Hello, my Spartan brothers and sisters. This is Kadima with another God of War Ragnarok build video. This time I decided to finish New Game Plus, and with finishing New Game Plus, get my hands on that beautiful new Zeus armor set. And with this, I came up with an upgraded version of my previous and most successful build in the channel, the Destroyer build. Now, we had the Destroyer build version 2.0. In this case, I think we got ourselves a Destroyer build version 3.0. And the reason for this is because the idea behind the build is the same. We're going to be using the Realm Shift, and with using the Realm Shift, making the most out of that 8-second window to do as much damage as possible. The reason why I would consider this build an upgrade though, and therefore bring it to the 3.0 edition of the Destroyer build, is that nothing was going to change in our approach on how to use the build, but it will be better because you will be swapping one piece of gear between fighting multiple enemies and normal enemies, and then going to a boss fight. And this is why a simple swap will make a big difference. And I will show you that difference as I demonstrate how the build works. Now, for this build, if we check what we are using the chest piece of the Berserker and the chest piece of the Cuirass of Zeus. Now, as I was explaining a moment ago, this is the only change we are going to make. If you are fighting multiple enemies as you go along, use the Cuirass of Zeus. If you are fighting a boss, such as the Berserker or Gna, swap it to the Berserker chest piece. This is the only change you have to make. If you are going to play through Remnants of Asgard or just normal areas fighting multiple enemies, even if you are doing the Muspelheim challenges, I would advise using the Cuirass of Zeus. Now, the Cuirass of Zeus increases Kratos' melee and runic damage by 40%, but increases damage received by 100%. This stacks with other sources of Divine Edge. Divine Edge is the perk of the Zeus armor set. Now, you get the Divine Edge on the chest, gauntlets, and waist piece. Now, on the chest, you get a 40% damage increase, but you have a 100% damage receive increase. For the waist and the wrist, you have a 20% damage increase, and you receive 40% more damage per piece. Now, if you make the math, this, having all pieces together, means you will be getting an 80% melee and runic damage increase, but you will be receiving 180% more damage. Now, as for my build videos on the channel, the footage I'm using for this build video is recorded on Give Me Balance. I am going to show you that, so there are no doubts about what difficulty I'm using for these videos. Give Me Balance. It works because most of people out there play the game on Give Me Balance or even lower difficulties, such as Give Me Story. But I find it that to make an accurate build video, best thing to do is go on Give Me Balance. Now, does this build work on other difficulties? Yes, the only difference is you are not going to see that much damage output and you will be receiving more damage. Of course, another thing that gets affected is the rate of which you get the permafrost on your axe or the other weapons as you hit enemies. On Give Me Balance, you get it much faster. The permafrost gauge gets fulled much faster than it does on Give Me No Mercy or Give Me God of War difficulties. Now, the other thing you want to keep in mind and you want to know is, of course, the Amulet. Same thing I was using on my Destroyer build. I'm using the Muspelheim set which gives you increased Kratos melee damage when the Permafrost and Immolation or Maelstrom skills are fully charged, based on is runic. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is that this increased melee damage is not only for when the Permafrost, Immolation, or Maelstroms are fully charged, but also when you actually activate the Permafrost, or when you activate the emulation, or when you activate the Maelstrom skills. During that window, while those skills are activated, this perk also has its effect on. The only moment this is basically useless is before you get those activated, or before you get the fully charged gauge of the permafrost. For the other complete set, I'm using the Niflheim's enchantment set, which increases Kratos melee damage when he's above 75% health based on his defense. This build you will be having somewhere between 550 or 490 defense, depending on if you are using the Berserker chest piece or the Zeus chest piece. But the reason why this is important is when you use both the Berserker chest piece or the Zeus chest piece, there's no way around it. You need to avoid taking damage. If you take damage, even on Give Me Balance difficulty, you are going to lose a tremendous amount of HP because you are getting a lot more damage. You are taking 180% more damage when you have the complete Zeus set, but if you swap it to the Berserker chest piece, you will still be taking 80% more damage. On top of that, you have to keep in mind that when you use the Relic, which is the ones for the realm shifts, you will be getting the Soulless Warrior with the Berserker chest piece, which increases the damage that you do massively, but also increases massively the damage that you receive. So if you get hit, you know what's going to happen. You are going to die. You are going to hit hard, but you are going to be hit even harder, no matter what you are using. So avoid taking damage. Block if you have to block. Try to parry if you can. Unparryable or unblockable attacks, you know what to do, just dodge. Now, for the remaining 3 amulet slots, we are using the Emblem of the Nine Realms. These don't change at all, no matter if you're using the Berserker chest piece or the Zeus chest piece, the enchantments stay the same. So we are using the Emblem of the Nine Realms, which increases melee damage during realm shifts. This is an obvious one. Seal of Runic Storm, because, again, I love this enchantment. Using runic attacks of 3 different weapons in quick succession grants a buff of increased stagger resistance, which you don't really care about, because if you get hit and you're going to die, and creates a Storm of Bifrost. Now, the Storm of Bifrost, the damage that it does, it will scale with your amount of runic stat. With this build, you will be having somewhere between 440 and 400 and nearly 500 runic once you swap to the Berserker chest piece. Now, with that in mind, this Storm of Bifrost will be doing a lot of damage. Now, Boon of Valor, it's because we are using Valor for our Spartan Rage, not because of the healing or the lifesteal. As you know, you can't get hit, so those things are not really going to matter here, but because it provides a powerful buff of strength once you activate it. So the idea basically is you hit your enemy. As you are hitting your enemy, you try to combine the 3 runic attacks of the 3 different weapons to activate the Storm of Bifrost. Once you activate the Storm of Bifrost, you are going to activate the Spartan Rage to get the Boon of Valor to activate, therefore increasing your strength. As soon as that is activated, you are going to use Freya's Runic Summoning, which is the poison that will lower the enemy's defense even further. It will reduce their level, therefore they take more damage. And the moment that hits, you will be activating the Permafrost on your axe. And once you activate the Permafrost on your axe, you will activate the Realm Shift. Now, once that is activated, you know what to do. R1, 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 R2, and then for the second combo you do R1, 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 R2, 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 and that should finish the enemy off. It doesn't matter what enemy we're talking about, because this works with both Gna and the Berserker King. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that This build relies not only on your skills to use it and you being able to put all those pieces together properly, but also on a little bit of luck. And when I say a little bit of luck, what do I mean? I mean this. This footage is recorded on New Game Plus. That's why you have access to the Zeus chest piece. In New Game Plus, the bosses have an increased stagger resistance, so this means they can easily run away from your runic attacks, or your attacks. They can get out of them. They will not get staggered so easily, and they can even attack you while you are doing those attacks. So yes, this build relies on a little bit of luck, that while you are performing all these combos and putting all the pieces together, that first the enemies don't really run away from you, because if they run away from you, you are basically going to fail to combine the 3 runic attacks, for example. But also that they don't hit you in the process, because if they hit you, not only you are most likely going to die, as I said before, but you are going to lose your permafrost charge. And if you lose your permafrost charge, it is a bit pointless to activate the realm shift, because you are not going to dish out as much damage as you should be doing. Now, let's continue with the build. Same thing that I have in my previous destroyer builds. We are using the Leviathan X with the Furious Maul. As for runic attacks, we are using Njord's Tempest and Ivaldi's Anvil. For the blades, we are using the Deadly Obsidian handles. Again, Flames of Anguish and Tame the Beast for runic attacks. For the spear, we are using the Hind for winds, with the Thrust of 1,000 soldiers and the Finger of Ruin. For the shield, this is up to you. If you are good at using those parries, I would suggest you get the Dauntless Shield. If you are not that good, or you don't feel as confident, you can always try to use the Shatter Star Shield. You can also parry with this shield, but the thing is, you will have less cooldown on your abilities. You will have, however, an increased runic bonus. Personally, I prefer to use the Dauntless Shield, because, as I said, I parry more often, and I find that the Dauntless Shield is better for parries. For the attachment, I use my favorite, as usual, the Rod of Disruption. This gives you a low luck chance to create an elemental storm when interrupting double blue ring attacks by double tapping L1 or parrying. Again, these elemental storms, which can be Bifrost, fire, or ice, or frost, in other words, the damage that you get from these elemental storms will also scale with your runic, with 440 to 490 something runic stat. You will get quite a lot of damage going on with these storms. Now, when you look at the stats with this build, considering I am all the way up to level 10, and this is on New Game Plus, I have 718 strength, 552 defense, runic 443, and vitality 28. Now, if you put these things together, defense at 550, vitality at 28, and the fact that you are taking 180% more damage, again, I can't stress this enough, if you get hit, you are most likely going to die. So this build requires practice and requires skills to use. But the more you practice, the better you get, the better results you'll be getting. Again, as I said, Spartan Rage, we are using Valor, and for the Relic, the Hilt of Food to create those realm shifts as we go along. Now, for Freya, we are using the sword, the Asgardian Edge, that gives you the Asgardian Edge. It's called Mardol, which increases Bifrost on enemies. Again, you can use the other sword. You can use Thrungva if you want to get increased stun going on enemies. It's entirely up to you. I prefer this one. For the runic summon, as I said previously, we're using the Satyr Exhale to get those enemies poisoned, and by getting them poisoned to lower their levels to do even further damage. Now, I'm going to demonstrate what this build does when using it against the boss rush trial in Muspelheim, and I'm going to show you the difference between having the Zeus chest piece and having the Berserker chest piece. I'm going to complete both trials using the Zeus chest piece first, and then the Berserker chest piece, so you can actually see the difference and tell why this is an upgraded version to my previous Destroyer builds. My previous Destroyer builds, they were 100% designed for boss fights. Now, with this little change, by having the cuirass of Zeus and the remaining pieces of the Zeus armor set available, the Destroyer build can now be more reliable for both situations such as boss fights and multiple enemy confronts. Now, let's go and do these trials so you can see how this goes. I'll be doing it with the Cuirass of Zeus first, so let's go for it. Now, for this one, I will be using the Cuirass of Zeus. Now, here comes the first enemy. Parry that first one. See the amount of damage that this armor set does. Do remember this is on New Game Plus, so that on its own makes all enemies have way bigger HP bars than you would expect on a normal new game, and this is also on Give Me Balance. Now, check this one out. She dies in 3 hits. 3 R2 hits. Now, this one I was too eager. I actually missed. Get that nice frost on the axe. Fortunately, I missed the second R2. Get him parried. Unfortunately, this enemy likes to fly too much, but one R2 gets the job done. Now here comes the elf. Let's see how many hits I need. 1, 2, 3. His HP is gone. Now for the big guy, here he comes, parry that, get 2 or 3 hits in. Now I will activate the relic just for you to see the difference. Permafrost, relic, 1, 2, 3. Now, let's do the same thing, but this time using the Berserker chest piece. And with the Berserker chest piece, you will see that the damage output is reduced. I will use the axe only so you guys have a better comparison. You see the damage I do per hit? It's much smaller than when using the Zeus chest piece. This guy required way more hits to die. Now, parry that guy. R2, R2, R2. This one required 5 or 6 hits to die. See the difference between the two chest pieces, the two using the different chest pieces? This is what I'm on about. This is why the Zeus chest piece makes it for a better and easier time when fighting multiple smaller enemies, because you'll be doing more damage as you go along. I really hate this enemy, just loves to fly too much. It's a pain in the ass. Well, Freya did finish the job. Now here comes the elf. Remember, the elf needed 3 only as well. Now here we go. 1, 2. He actually managed to escape. But this would be 3. Still not dead. He's only halfway there. 4, 5, 6, 7. It required 7 hits to go. Now I will use the relic for this one as well. I'll parry 1 or 2 hits. Now I'm activating the permafrost and the relic. This one is going to need 1, 2 after using the relic. So you see the difference? You get more from using the relic when using the Berserker, but without the relic, the Zeus chest piece is the better option. But now let's do Gna, and you have to keep in mind that being a boss fight, this is using the Berserker. Now get some land, hand those R2 hits, a combination, hand the first runic attack with the spear, the second one with the blades, and the third one with the axe. Activate the Valor, activate Permafrost, activate the relic, and as you can see, she's being poisoned by Freya as we activated all those things simultaneously, and we get the job finished with that little interrupt, and we get the finisher. Again, keep in mind, all these things result from the combination of your skills to get it all going well, but also it depends on a little bit of luck too. Now for the Berserker, using also the Berserker chest piece, so you guys have an idea of what the build can do against these two enemies. Parry, parry, land some hits, get that first and second runic attacks, swap for the axe, get the third runic, activate the Valor, activate the Permafrost, activate the Poison, and activate the Realm Shift. And you can see the amount of damage that this thing does, and we finish him off with the combination of the R1, 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 R2, R2, R2. And this is it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the build. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't just yet, and thank you all so much for watching. We are nearly getting to 2,000 subscribers. I appreciate you so much, and I hope you have a lovely weekend and a lovely day. Cheerio!